Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the boxwood over the rock needs a bit of a haircut. Welcome everyone to the backyard of Dave's Bonsai and the boxwood over the rock. Now, if some of you remember the last time I repotted this earlier this spring, a couple months ago, I put it back on the rock it was on. It was pretty round, and many of you had concerns that maybe it won't even stick to that rock because it's so round and smooth. So if that rock's not going to work, at the next repot, we'll have plenty of longer roots, I hope, that are just gathering down here and long and thicker that we can go over any rock we choose. So whether I change the rock remains to be seen. But it's growing so robustly, I want to train this thing and clip and grow it so I can determine kind of where things are going to grow next. So let's do that now. My apologies everyone for my audio of late. I've been having some issues, and typically I put the receiver unit in my pocket. And of course when I'm moving around and bending and moving left and right and up and down, I'm just kind of bending the wires, and I'm creating some lack of solid connection. So I just clipped it onto the back side of my pants today, and let's hope that we don't have any funky audio again today. So I have the moss up on top, which is protecting the top layer of roots, but there's roots that go beyond the soil level all the way down to the middle part of the pot, if not the bottom. So I'm not so worried about the top roots getting kind of dried up and dying away. I'm actually hoping to thin it out the next time we repot it again. But this is keeping everything nice and moist up top just in case. So birds have been kind of tearing it apart and putting it back together, or I've been putting it back together. They're certainly not putting it back together. So it's a twin trunk that looks like it could split right down to the root. If you look real close when you're in my backyard right here with me, you can kind of see there's a line down here. So this one's kind of overlapping that one. A true kind of like almost like a tree over tree, like we do root over rock, it's tree over tree. And they've been this way since the beginning, and it started to take shape, and I love that curve going up, and it's on a rock. We'll lift it up out of that rock soon enough. But we're gonna cut this guy down to size, so it'll set some really good buds, hopefully, for next season's growth. So this will probably be the last time I touch this tree this year. At the end of June, hey, it's the 20th of June. Is today the first day of summer? Are we in the summer solstice, or is that tomorrow? Sometime in today or tomorrow, we officially start summer. So our trees are gonna slow down a little bit. And this thing's super healthy, so we can go ahead and do some work on it. Now the challenge with this tree is it's always been a little bit thin front to back, so we're encouraging growth out that way. So I'm not gonna do a whole lot with that growth right now, I don't think. I am gonna cut the tops off a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that first. So my theory is I want to get it down lower, and then it won't be so tall and skinny. It'll be shorter, and it might appear to be a little bit fatter. This is a nice branch coming out here, but it comes from way inside this tree, which is kind of odd if you look at bonsai trees. But in a twin trunk or multi-trunk or forest planting, sometimes the rules are a little bit more loose. But let's go ahead and cut back some of these tall ones. So right now I'm just going to cut back to 2 buds on the new growth from this year, just to shorten everything back. And this one's split even right there in a really nice spot. Really low split right there, but that's not cutting back very much, so we'll see. I have a few raindrops. I hope I don't have to postpone this and move inside the PSGF. As lovely as it is in there. So I'm just gonna go around the top here, and this initial prune, this is kind of one of those prunes where I think Nigel might take out his blue scissors and give it a blue scissors prune. I don't have a blue scissors like Nigel, and I don't know if I want to be that aggressive with this particular guy. So again, a few clips to get all this top growth a little bit lower, and we could push out even more ramification next year. One of the nice things about boxwoods is they do a tremendous job of growing in threes. So we talk a lot about from 3s down to 2. That does it really well on a boxwood. Now some of these I'm not going to go quite as short because I'm coming down the side now and I don't want to shorten it up this much way too much. But I will shorten it a little bit here, as long as I'm right here. Get a couple of these a little shorter. There we go. Now the profile out here is getting pretty big out here, which is nice. I like that. We got a 3 back here though, so let's cut back to 2, and then let's cut shorter and shorter and shorter. There's a 3. Go down to 2 and shorter. So now this went from, we had 3, now it's down to 2. This was 3, now it's down to 2, and we can shorten this one up here, and we have kind of a pad right here. It's a nice little pad right there. That one's in good shape. Now this one has a weird growth going down here. I'm going to cut that right off just to keep this going out here, and that's a nice little branch right there. We'll cut this one a little bit shorter, and this one a little bit shorter. All right. I think I can cut a little more height off up here by going a little shorter that way, a little shorter that way. So here's a big cut right here that I have to consider. Here's your 1, 2, 3, and if we want this shorter, I better go right there and cut that one off. Now we come back to the front. There's that little hole we just created. And then I'll cut these back down to these lower branches, and that'll backbite. And we've got a couple more growing from the same area. So I'm going to cut one of those off. And I'm going to cut this one off too to make a little gap in here. There. Now that side's lower, much lower. Get this little lower here. We got this one peeking out in the back. Let's go actually down below where it goes into 3s. This one we can go back a little shorter. Here and here. This one as well. So that side's coming together really nice. And then this one, there's a 3 here, so let's cut down the middle one. Right here we have branches that are vertical this way instead of more this way. And this one's kind of vertical too. Let's take off this vertical one right here. We'll leave these for right now. So this got a little bit short, but now this is a little longer. So let's go ahead and here and do this little trimming down. Okay, now here's a 3, and there's a branch coming out here for 4. Let's get that away. Look at that, created that little gap, and that's there. Then if we go ahead and shorten that here, this is also a 3, a big split up top, but a 3. We cut that back and cut this down to a couple of leaves. Now we shorten that up a little bit. And then we can shorten this guy a little bit more, this guy a little bit more, and this guy a little bit more. I think we're actually going to cut that a little bit thicker. There we go. Okay, so now we've got more of a flat top here. And of course, this is going to get all the light, so it's going to catch back up in no time. This one's growing from way inside. Let's cut this one off. Let's cut this one down. Let's cut this one down. And let's cut this one down. And cut this one back a little bit as well. So that thinned this out a little bit. There's a bit of a hole there now. But I haven't even touched some of this side yet, so. Again, making everything shorter down to its 2s, no more 3s, not quite sticking out as much. And now we have this canopy that's looking a little bit better. We got a couple of crisscross in here. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that one that crisscrosses and then shorten this guy up to split right there. This one's going up. Let's get rid of that one. Promote this coming out, and let's get this a little bit shorter. A little bit shorter. All right. So these can continue to work their way out here. We can see the trunk down here. We can see a little trunk in there. Let's get rid of this 3 right here. And this one is crossing over, and it just doesn't make me feel good. There we go. Now we got some opening in here. And this can just get a little bit more. Oh, there's a 3 right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We cut the middle out, and then we're cutting these back to about 2. Shortened up the tree. Here's another 3. We cut off that tip. We've got from 1 to 2. So we just opened this up a little bit. Here I just noticed we got a branch going from way over here out between those branches. That's not very fun. Covers up some of the, that cleaned that up in there a little bit more. There's a little bit more sun that can get into those branches right in there. I like that. That's nice. We're going to shorten this guy up a little bit and this guy up a little bit. This one's growing back towards the tree. Let's get rid of that one. There we go. And this is a glorified 3 right here. Let's go ahead and get this down to 2. Shorter and shorter. More raindrops. We might have to pivot. And this one's growing up back here. Let's cut this off for these 2 more sideways ones. Here we go. Ever such tender cuts on some of these. Making a little bit more breathing room within the tree, a little more pockets, nooks and crannies. Places where literally birds could fly through. This one's coming from the back, way down low. Let's get rid of that. That gives more room for this guy. And we're going to cut this back and hope we get more growth left and right. There we go. Cutting tips off so things can more multiply, ramify. So we get more growth up and down and all around in this front area. This was pretty flat before. And now it's no skinnier really, but we did lower it down quite a bit there. We're gonna go down here 1 more. We're gonna go down here 1 more. Stub there from that 3 down to 2. There we go. We got one down here. It's a really weird spot. It's blocking some light in here. Got another one in there. Once we open that up, we got another one here we can kind of peel out. There we go. We got one growing back in towards the center. We get that guy out of there. So not a major prune. We got 1 thick branch up here, a couple of semi-thicker ones in here. And we're making this thing thinned out so we can get some new buds set for next year and watch this thing poof out into some wonderful branches that we can then go ahead and thin out as we continue to work on this guy here. This branch is growing down a little bit. Now we're going to leave that one there. We're going to let that directional. I think I'm just going to do what I don't do often enough. Let's just put the scissors down. There we go. As the rain continues to fall ever so lightly, we'll put my camera out of the rain, and there's our boxwood. We just cut down about 1 inch or 2 max, but we thinned things out so we've got nooks and crannies in here, like right in there and kind of in here and back over here. So more light's gonna come in there and we'll get some back buds that'll set in there and push out for next season. So we'll put this back on the, well, right where it is actually. It goes on the watering can behind my bench right there. So we'll do that and then we'll see what's next. So the rain today, just enough of a nuisance to bring in the equipment and work inside the PSGF on 1 more tree today. So a little trim up on the boxwood, and now we're going to trim up the China doll. So this is another group of trees, a little clump style here of China doll that my friend William gave to me. And William might be back in town today. I think it was the 20th he was arriving. Either the 20th or the 22nd, he was coming from the Palm Desert area. And I've been looking after his trees. And so I'm gonna cut this back a little bit too. It's acclimated to the greenhouse. It's loving life in here. We had a little bit of leaf burn at first, but that's kind of cleared up. A couple of tips here that still have some on there. But there's some growth internally because this was cut way back pretty heavily and kind of thin inside during the indoor growing season. But it's loving more life out here. This is the back side, but we have this new growth that is probably new since William saw it last. So this is another tree in the forest that split off of that one, so it's kind of a twin trunk. So that one's nice and healthy, shooting this branch off up in the front here, which we probably could cut back a little bit. And then see what we got for some trimming ideas here for today. Now this tree right here next to it has no growth until way up here, and there's a little wiggly wobbly up here with some cuts, and then it's grown up tall, and there's some new young growth on there now. So if I were to cut this off and hope for some back budding, we'd hope for something like down here. So look at this guy right here. Now that's growing from the backside over here, but we'll let that thing grow up to be a secondary branch. So for that to put on more growth, we would probably also want to chop this a little bit up on the top here. So I don't want to make big cuts to this, but I do want to clear out a few branches that kind of crisscross. This is a big branch from this tree in here that's blocking this guy right here. And so this has a nice shape to it. We're going to go ahead and just trim back some of these leaves. This guy right here looks like he just is growing down at a funny angle. So I don't mind. I'm actually just going to cut this one off and cut this one off because we have new growth right there. We have two new pieces of growth right there, which is going to continue to get this thing good and tall. And we're just going to go ahead and just trim up some of these leaves that are poking outside of kind of this design at the moment. This is one of those branches that had a little bit of leaf burn on that one. And so we have this nice little top of this tree now with this some back budding growing here pretty good. Let's see if that continues to get some more energy. And then we've got this tree back here that has this growth on it. You see that right there? So we're going to cut off a couple of these branches going forwards. And this guy is just kind of being tangled up here and all of this other growth. So let's get rid of this branch from way back over here on that new tree. And so that back there is surviving, but it's leaning forward. So we're gonna kind of force it to grow backwards more. There's new buds on there. So I'm gonna cut that branch off there and let's see what it does from here. These grow really long branches, and so until you cut some of the branches back, it's hard to get these compact, and it's still a really new species to me, so I'm very cautious on how much I cut back so I don't go ahead and cause too much stress on the tree. But this isn't a clump style, so you know you're not going to have a lot of branches down low. Like here's a branch down here, and here's a branch down here, and this one's going straight that way. But there's a little branch right next to the trunk of that tree that if we go ahead and cut that off, maybe that'll sprout off that other one. If not, this is low on the forest again floor, low on the clump style. We've kept these two trees that died, they're stumps. They're going to probably fall out of here pretty soon, but they look pretty cool right now as trees that perished. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just thin this out a little bit for more light to get in here. This branch right here is coming from that new tree way over there. We'll just cut that out to let more light in here. This one's growing down. And these back here, they're competing for some light a little bit, competing for some space. So if I just cut those off, there we go. That makes those, they can maneuver back there a little bit better. So here's that new tall growth for that tree back here. And it's got this big growth out here, this big growth out here. Some of these bottom branches will probably perish after a while, but there's that tree there. We can kind of coax it to try to be outside more. And then to help that outside more, we can go ahead and we can get rid of this big guy right here, get it out of its way. It's this one right here. We want to be out here, and we can promote it going more straight up by cutting this guy off right there. There we go. We'll promote everything back here and see what that does. We're going to cut this branch off because we got a kind of a tangly, gnarly mess in here. I'm not sure what's going on in here. This tree splits into a very funky Y pattern. It looks great, better from the front, and it has a branch going that way. But this is getting too high out here, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop this side down completely. That's my biggest chop for today. I want these trees to stay tall, and we've got all this right here. So if I go ahead and I just give this a little bit of a shave, a little bit of a haircut here with some of these taller ones that kind of hover over and block some of these other branches, we can give those a little bit of a cut. and promote things continuing to go up into the sky. This is a big tree. I don't mind if it gets bigger. It's in a pot that can support a little bit bigger yet. Let's get this branch off over there. That's going to help light get over there. And then this is awfully big, so let's get rid of that one. And now we have this part of that tree still alive back here. This is a beautiful apex of this tree right there. And you'll notice we have this right here as a new possible leader. So it kind of grew out of the tree a little funky from the right here. Now it's growing upwards. Now the next bud is growing right there. If we cut these two off and let this grow straight up here, we can get rid of this whole branch someday, and then we have thick bottom. We can have some taper right here, and that can maybe bring that tree into more of the picture or support that back growth of this tree back here. So a lot of possibilities. All right, we just thinned it out a little bit. I don't think I really want to do much more than that. Thin it out. I don't want to go too crazy. Now more light's going to get in here, and we'll just see how this thing pushes back. Maybe it pushes back a little bit more growth in this new summer season. We've got the rest of June, July, August. This should just love life here in the very humid PSGF, and we'll have a fun little forest, and maybe it'll push out just a little bit more growth before William gets to see it later on this summer. So there you go, tree number 2. We got to clean up a boxwood, and we got to clean up this guy as well, the China doll. Fantastic. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out a little bit outside, a little bit inside of the PSGF. The rain is still coming down, so it's good that we came in and protected the equipment. I hope the audio all was in check, clipped on my outside of my pants, not in a pocket. A much smarter move. I should know better. The cables aren't quite as hooking as tight anymore, but hopefully we fix that. For sure. Well, hey, the rain is going to continue. It's going to get heavy tonight and all day tomorrow and part of Saturday again. So the rain is still. I had a comment, Xavier. Thanks for the comment. Xavier just loved how lush and green my backyard and the benches are looking. It's like a rainforest right now in Minnesota. A lot of rain. I hope it doesn't cause any fungal problems or any other kind of issues. Yeah, we need some sun to let these things pop some more. Hopefully that sun will come out soon. Hopefully it's out in your neck of the woods and you're getting the rain you need, because boy, the rainwater, our bonsai love it. Hey, in the meantime, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.